So welcome back, and again our pairing of new Morticians models this time also includes our first crossover model into the Ratcatchers Guild as we talk with Vileswarm and Veteran Graves. So, I love new Vileswarm. I'm going to start with that. A lot has changed. He's gotten slower. He's gone from a 6-8 move to a 5-7. Yeah, yeah, didn't think that one. A little bit of a nerf.
I didn't notice that one.
A little bit of a nerf. But he's gotten tougher. He's gone from 7 health to 9, and he has gained this amazing character play called Scatter, which allows you to replace him within 1 inch of his current location, which would be good if you're on a 30mm model. But it's a 40mm base. Like, get some proxy model.
2 inches of move?
In fact, like, go away. Don't go. Not afterwards. Not now. Everyone, go away. Get 2 40mm bases and a 1 inch widget, and see. Like, just visualize how far a 1 inch place, base to base, actually gets you. It's more than you think. It's really good. He was vindictive, so only paid 1 to charge humans. But hey, he's just furious now. The rats have gotten angrier, maybe because there are Ratcatchers coming after him. His playbook, lordy. So mainly his playbook was you used it for the double pushes, and maybe you'd get a rabid animal off for the -4/-4 move and poison. And now it's a damage playbook, like 1-on-1, momentous 2-on-2, 3-on-3. I think that tackle, that tackle's there. That's nice. I'm not taking it.
Kind of weird. It's momentous.
It's a weird place to have a momentous tackle, but I guess if you can imagine the cinema of it, if a whole swarm of rats comes along and takes the ball away, you're probably going to get a cheer from the crowd. So just to give an example, earlier on today in a game that will be going up in this playlist, I was playing against a friend of the channel and Roll Better podcast host Matt. Vileswarm furiously charged and knocked down Miasma. So that was 7 dice against 3s and O's, 7 net hits. So that was a very casual 7 damage. It's alright. It's alright, especially for free.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing I really want to point out, because it took me a while to notice it, is Noxious Death now only affects enemies.
Yep.
That's massive.
It's huge. Oh, I love it. You just stick Vileswarm
3 damage and poison.
3. I almost wish he'd gone down in health. Like,
yeah.
or in many ways, gaining health is almost like a nerf at this stage because I want him to explode, especially under an unmasking, because the unmasking, because it won't hurt Ghast in return. Brilliant.
That is brilliant.
Oh, he's so good. I'm now genuinely torn over which mascot I want to take, and that's not a thing.
I'm not.
Okay. Does that require a Vet Graves discussion, or are you good to say why you like one over the other?
No, not really. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure Vet Graves would be in my 12. I think he probably would be, but I don't think he'd be in most of my 6s. And I still think just Vileswarm is so insanely efficient and scary that, for me, I've always been a Dirge fan, and I think he still has his place, but I think Vileswarm is just vicious.
So good.
Just like absolute killer. And Scatter is so good at freeing up a Furious model that you just put 1 on him. On a turn he starts engaged and he can do stuff, and if he's not engaged you don't give him any and he just charges in.
Yep.
He's really scary, whereas I think, to be honest, I think both Cosset and Vet Graves are pretty good, but I don't think either of them for me are the core Morticians models I'd want to run. So independently of those two, I actually think Vileswarm is better just because he gets you free momentum.
Yeah. There's always an argument to be made for free momentum. However, let's have a look at Vet Graves before we dismiss him entirely. Now, Vet Graves only had a front of his card in the previous editions, so we don't need to have a look at it. He's the most efficient tournament card in the game because you never had to turn it over. Gravedigger is gone for all of the reasons that the blog has talked about. I do not lament its loss. I neither used it as a Morticians player and effectively lost to it, in Vengeance this year, so I'm more than happy to see a rule that cost me going 5-2 to going 4-3 at Vengeance disappear. New Graves, new veteran Graves. I love him. I absolutely love him. That exhaustion aura makes him a phenomenal first activation. Just I'm going to put exhaustion up and walk and start hitting people. You doing anything? No, you can't.
Yeah, he's a great model in that you can either put influence on him so he does things, or he can just kind of stand there. You maybe put one up for exhaustion, and maybe power up his heroic, and he can stand there and you get a decent enough return on him. Yep. Or you can go for that knockdown they ain't tough on 2 hits, which is nuts for the record.
What a result. A result. Just on TAC 5 model against a 4-1 model. 4-1, it's got a pretty good chance of hitting it. Knockdown, so your death goes down, and also your armor's falling off. That is a hell of a result. Right.
Yeah, especially when you then consider, oh dear, you're on the floor and you've got less armor. I've got a mascot over here that's now got a pile of extra influence and a free charge.
Ben, it was the game that we had at the playtest back in July. You were using the new Alchemists, and very happy you seem to be doing so. Had a, if not full health, but very near full health Catalyst. I had you at an activation advantage after Bonesaw had pushed someone off the edge of the pitch. Lol.
Hideous NPE.
And Graves Graves activates, walks up to Catalyst, makes him a 2-0 model, does, I think, 2 lots of Momentous 2, uses his new heroic play, Packmaster, which no longer does an additional damage, but instead gives 2 influence. Amazing. Vileswarm charges, and 1 rounds Catalyst. That is hilarious. Yeah. Absolutely. He does damn near like 24 points of damage across those 3 attacks that he got off with the crowd out from Graves. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And alright, that might have been a magical Christmas Land activation, but you know what? Those happen.
Yeah, I'll be honest, that it was something that was, it was so left field, kind of being used to existing Vileswarm and existing Vet Graves. I just had to laugh, and it's like, well, he's arrived. He's brought some rats with him.
He's a thing now.
Yes, he's definitely a thing.
I'm also super happy to see close control in Morts. Especially on a 3-2 model that can either go and stand in cover or can stand next to Skulk with Horrific Odor and Pest Control and things like that, and just make those long threat range strikers maths really difficult and make things as inefficient as possible. So I'm very, very happy to see that. So I think legitimately Veteran Graves challenges Graves.
Yeah, well, I think the main reason Connor's so adamant to say he's rubbish is so he doesn't have to play against him.
Quiet you. I think they're just pretty deep. But what I really like about the Veteran Graves changes is he feels a lot more like normal Graves now.
Okay.
So now, whereas before Veteran Graves tackle went from 1 on original Graves to 3 on Vet Graves, it's now on 1 and Momentous.
Yeah.
And they've both got a Momentous push on 1 now. They've both got Momentous 2 on 3.
Yeah.
The Graveses are just a lot more similar now than they used to be. And the knockdown, the knockdown they ain't tough is kind of like tooled up in the way that it can set up a kill. It kind of reminds me actually of what they did revealed on the blogs with Vet Siren, where the character was quite different, and now they're actively trying to make the original and the Veteran more similar and complete the same role in a different way.
Yeah, so the handy listeners, you've just experienced the Rooney Minute, which is how long it takes Connor to bring up fish when discussing something else. But yeah, I totally take your point, Connor. It's never a full minute. They are very, very similar now. And let's be honest, it's worth talking about Graves at this point. Much like Obulus, he hasn't changed. Literally the only thing that's changed on his card is that his traits have been put in alphabetical order. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I hasten to add, I'm a big fan of. Well done. I don't know why that wasn't done earlier.
Yeah, I never noticed it until they just fixed it now. I never really thought why they were in a certain order
that things were seemingly in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a very, very similar job. They just go about it in slightly different ways. And there will be matchups where tooled up is more beneficial than they ain't tough. Brewers is the one that immediately springs to mind. The fact that they have immense amounts of tough hide.
Farmers just to get through the health pools.
Exactly. That makes perfect sense. Whereas I can see other situations, like again, farmers. Why would I want a they ain't tough model against farmers? You haven't got any armor. Whereas models like blacksmiths, with the apprentices traditionally low health pools but high armor, vet graves all day long.
Vet graves also gives you, as we touched upon with the close control thing. It's not just the fact that he has close control. It's the fact that he has close control and a 2-inch reach model with a tackle on 1. So if you have say Flint charges into Graves, hits the tackle, which gets straight. Well, Flint's a bad example. Let's say Mist. Mist charges in, hits the tackle, which procs close control. Tackles again, Graves counters, hits the tackle. The goal's off for Mist now.
Yeah.
Which I do with tentacles all the time.
Another Rooney minute. I'm trying to. There's one other thing that is sitting, crawling at the back of my brain, and I can't seem to remember it. No, it's gone. Yeah, well, I'll stick it up.
Yeah. Just before we skim past original Graves, I know he hasn't changed, but he is still such a strong toolbox.
Graves.
The tackle on 1, his damage output. Damage target always catches people out on him, too.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I've suddenly remembered. Thank you very much for stalling for me there, Connor. Think about Vet Graves and Ratcatchers, because, of course, we must pay attention to our minor guild here at this point, that the Ratcatchers are part of this as well. Vet Graves and Scourge are now a scary combo. Like, if Vet Graves is going into a 4-1 model and making them 3-0, Scourge can do what he wants with that TAC 7 and that playbook. It makes... yes, they're not getting the snack digger takeout that there was much vaunted before, but I think Vet Graves now makes Scourge's damage horrific, quite frankly.
Also, the as good as the heroic play is on Vileswarm, the fact that Vileswarm's already furious means he's pretty efficient. Whereas that heroic play does a lot for Squeak. Because Squeak is very scary when it can charge. But it's very expensive to put 2 influence on it to do that.
Yeah. So we will come back to Squeak and have a chat about him when we get to Piper & Co. But for the meantime, we will stop things there and then jump straight back in with Bonesaw and Casket.